Okay, I'm just going to say, rewatching Everything Everywhere All at Once right before seeing this was setting the bar way too high for this one. Love Hurts. A realtor is pulled back into the life he left behind after his former partner in crime resurfaces with an ominous message. With his crime lord brother also on his trail, he must confront his past and the history he never left fully buried. They're selling this movie as a Valentine's Day movie, I guess? I think they thought it might give it some extra pull in the cinemas, like, you know, if you have an average film with Christmas stuff in it, it might do well over December. Valentine's Day doesn't really have anything to do with this aside from the fact that they tell you it's Valentine's Day for about 50 times throughout. It's a weird movie. I honestly went into this not knowing much. Figured it was going to be putting Huy Quan as a sort of Jackie Chan type character where we'd get some good action comedy. And I think maybe the movie was trying to go for that, but it doesn't really land on its feet. The big difference here is unfortunately in the writing and the choreography. Jackie Chan movies are naturally funny. It's in the scenarios he gets into, using whatever he has at his disposal whilst being on the back foot. It's what leads to great moments like using ladders in First Strike or plates in Accidental Spy. Now, don't get me wrong, I think Huy Quan is the perfect person to replicate that sort of energy. Heck, he even does it a little bit in Everything Everywhere All at Once with the fanny pack fight. But here, the action just isn't creative enough to make up for the boring story of the poor writing. There's some clever shots, like including bits involving the inside of a microwave and a fridge, but there's a lot of inconsistency in how strong any one person is during a fight or how serious the fight is. One guy has throwing knives as his thing, but he also has feathers as well that he throws for some reason and never decides to use the actual knives instead. It's really weird. And don't get me wrong, if this movie was just the action bits, it would actually be a passable fun time, but then we just move on to the writing, which just sucks unfortunately. Harsh switches between comical and serious felt jarring, and the most corny dialogue I've just seen in a long time. That earnestness just isn't there to make that sort of dialogue work. Huy Quan is mostly doing his best to carry this, with some really fun bits, similar to his goofy moments in Everything Everywhere, and they're great, but the bits where he's trying to be serious, you know, re-falling in love with his old life as an assassin, just didn't feel quite right. We also had Astin in this as well, and I liked him for the bits we got him in, but he doesn't do all that much unfortunately. And then, I mean, I'll be honest, the rest of the supporting cast were just average at best. Actually, these two were super annoying, and these guys were too. Honestly man, I just wanted to pick up Huy Quan and Astin, wrap them up and put them in a better movie. It's only a 90-minute film, but unfortunately because of the pacing issues in the middle part of this, it just feels double that length. It starts off fairly well with some interesting fights, but then grinds to an absolute standstill for a large chunk of that film until it rounds off the end with a couple of more action scenes. By then I think it's just a little bit too late to redeem itself. Also the main bad guy played by Daniel Wu, I mean funny enough we were talking about Police Story earlier. Honestly I think one of the writers had a bubble tea one day and went, damn I bet these straws can be quite dangerous, and then was just hell-bent on making it a character's personality trait and weapon of choice. It almost just felt like an SNL sketch with how much he was bloody drinking one of those things. Yeah, I don't really think there's much else for me to dissect here. It's not a complex film. I think the decent positive that I'm able to take away from this is that Huy Quan continues to prove his abilities. In this case, at points, I think he gets to show off his comedic action abilities, which I think given a better fight choreographer could have had me comparing it to the good old days of Jackie Chan in the 80s and 90s. Unfortunately, the rest just doesn't hold up to support this though. And I think this is probably one just to wait for to come out on streaming if you just want some cool action bits and then you can kind of skip forward a bunch of times. So not quite the recommendation sadly, but it's been out for just under a week now, so maybe you've already seen it. If you have, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you enjoy this review, feel free to leave a like and subscribe and all that stuff, and as always, stay tuned for more reviews on movies, anime and video games. Until next time guys, take care, bye bye!